Becky Edwards into the box. Masar there. Masar goal! Dash on! We have history in Houston!
Some people have a keen talent for diving deep into their own vitality. They know how to put the microscope on loss, love, life, and every delicious uncertainty that comes with it. Ella Masar of the Houston Dash is a star on the pitch, but what really stands out is her ability to both surrender and fight life's circumstances with a perfect dose of passion, power, and honesty.
It's funny as you get older, the stories don't become so much as embarrassing as what you think back in those times, and it's just kind of part of who you are. Soccer's always been that outlet of, when your mom's going into mental institution at 14 years old and you and your twin sister are trying to figure it out in your home, that was a place where I could go out and touch a ball and nobody saw me for anything but a soccer player. Nobody saw, oh, that's the one with the crazy mom, and credit to my mother, she's one of the most inspiring women I've ever met. For her to go through that and to stay with us and to fight for us compared to just giving up, and who she is today, I wouldn't change anything. But we joke about it. It's hard for a 14-year-old kid for your mom to come to your basketball game with tap shoes, and every time you score, she's doing a tap dance. We laugh about it now, but those are things that kind of stick with you as you get older. And then, they were both alcoholics as well. It's kind of, you don't realize what you're growing up in until you leave and you get out in the world and you see what other people's stories are. But again, the way my parents raised us kids and how much they loved us and appreciated us, I wouldn't change that for anything. I think it was just a tough thing of, you'd ask a lot, why me? I remember I'd play with the local soccer club and I'd get dropped off 2 houses down because I was kind of ashamed of what our house was. My mom kind of turned it into her art world, and now it's modern and cool and that's the thing. But at that age, again, it's all about what you look like and who you are and where you come from. And I don't know, and then with my dad, they got divorced or separated when I was a young kid. And, I'm so thankful that 4 years, he was in high school, he was just my soccer fan. And then in college, he was trying to make up for lost time. And he came over to Norway when I was 21 years old. And I just wrote him a letter saying, I never understood what it would be like trying to support my mom who's mentally ill. It is a chemical balance, and they are going through things at 14 years old, 15, 16. You don't understand why she's in the institution, you're on food stamps, that kind of stuff. But at that moment in time, when he was over there, you have a conversation with him and you forgive him. And, 4 years later, I lost him. So for us to have that time is something that I wouldn't change anything. I think it's allowed me to grow up since 14, be financially independent, and you learn as you go. Well, some days my mom would, trying to say she's like the princess of Russia, or something like that, or the license plates talks to her, and very exuberant, very excited, can take over the world, will come up with all these crazy ideas, and by crazy I mean like spectacular, extraordinary things you never think of. And then 2 weeks later you come home and she's crying on the floor, or she's drinking some alcohol, or she's in her room not being able to communicate and checking herself into the institution because she's scared that she's going to take her life. So I don't know, it's about, and when you get diagnosed, she's probably had that almost her whole life, and she didn't get diagnosed until she was 30 or 40, 42. And then it's like she's an artist, right? She has 2 masters, she's a brilliant woman. Her brother is a professor at Columbia and a professional jazz musician. He says my mother is the most intelligent woman he's ever met. But then it's like, how can you take a medicine where as an artist, it's like telling me I couldn't run as a soccer player. How are you going to tell this woman you have to take this and you're subdued and you're not doing anything, and takes away from her imagination. So to her to find that balance, it probably took about 8 years. But now she's a yoga teacher. She takes people to Peru, and it's been really cool to see.
Terry William Masar was reported missing on October 21st, 2011. He was last seen in Urbana, Illinois, where he was taking care of his sick mother. 2 days later, the family received word that Terry's body had been found in a hotel room. A massive heart attack claimed his precious life.
It's kind of crazy that it's so long ago. I was playing in France, and brother called me on a Friday and said, "Hey, is Dad coming?" I'm like, "Nah, he's supposed to come next week." Couldn't hear from him for 2 days, and then you get the dreaded phone call at 2 a.m. or whatever that, they found him. You kind of world would get flown to the airport or driven to the airport, and you fly home, and it's kind of surreal. I think that's a huge thing in my career is I had a 2-year deal, and then, you have to come home after a year because it's what my family needed me, and, you'd hope that you could develop. But I mean, he was my biggest supporter. He came to see me play. When it was Magic Jack, he was the only guy. When I was crying on the sidelines trying to get through it, you know, he was like, you're the best player in the world, whether I played a minute or not, you know, and that support, regardless of what people think, is something that that's why I still do it today. I mean, I'm 30 for him. That was his college number, and it's my, you know, my thanks for this. It's my, I don't know, it's my time to connect with my pop. You know, as long as I'm still playing, I still got him. I remember, like, he came to play me in Norway, and we have this indoor facility, and it's so cold. And we went in at night and opened up the place for us, turned on the lights, and I set out like cones because I'm doing extra work. And there's a video I still have of him, and he's like, "Oh, look at me," and he's trying to teeter-totter through the cones with his feet, you know, and just laughing. And you say, you know, I got it from my dad.
Okay, Dad, one more time. Just your right foot. Come on. Show him how I got it, the boost from my dad. Yeah!
He was always showed up with a beer or a joke. You know, that was my dad, and that's something he was great for.
After posting a couple's picture from a wedding Ella and Aaron attended, a young pastor left an ugly comment on social media that read, "Cool photo, but sad story being told through it," referring to Ella and Aaron's same-sex partnership. It was a comment that propelled Ella to speak out her faith as it relates to love and show others that love, in fact, will always prevail.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good friend of mine's husband that I've spent time with, and I've looked after their kids, or their son at the time. Now they have two, and it was unfortunate, but you know, my ex-boy was son of a pastor, you know, and some of the lessons that I learned as being a Christian was something I'll never forget, like being a kind person, being humble, treating your neighbor as himself, you know, like actually learning and using those tools. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to love, I don't think it's a sin. Loving someone, you know, they're like, well, it's the same as there was a guy over in Houston downtown, and he was holding a sign saying, "You're going to hell." And I walk over and I go, if I'm in a committed, loving relationship, at the end of the day, I show up in front of God and he said, you're going to hell for that, then that's my choice. But I don't think the man that came back to go after people that were hungry and, you know, tax collectors and people that were martyrs and that kind of stuff, like if he's coming back to save them, then how is he? I'm just loving the person that I'm with and being honest with her and treating her with kindness and not boasting. You know, that's the type of love that I take from the Bible. And what happened was he said that, and I saw her kind of crumble and start crying about it. You know, she's like, I thought that this was going to happen to you, like you're going to leave me because of what you believe. And the truth about Erin is that if you want to talk about being a Christian and what it stands for in the human being and being giving and being honest and being loyal, she pushes me to be that every day. So our morals, she pushes me to be a better human being in every, you know, shape and form. And for me, that's what's important, even more than my ex-guy. Like, to be a Christian, that is who she is. She is defining me to be a better human being and to lay down my life for other people. And that's what I think it's all about. I think it was pretty cool to see. I was really nervous almost from the people at home, what their reaction were for me to say that. And you know, I had conversations with my ex-mother, and she said, don't go back down that path. And some people can say, how dare you say that? But for me, I love her. You know, she's family to me, and I know she's saying that out of a place where she wants me to be with God at the end of the day. So I don't take that as a bad way, you know. And some of my good friends are Christian, and maybe they don't believe that I should walk down the aisle with this human being. The fact that I can see people like love and cherish and respect us and ask how she's doing, to me that means a lot. And I will always choose love. And you can't get angry, because if you get angry, then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway. It's hard. I mean, there's many times I've cried, or, you know, I remember when we first started, I was really guilty. I felt guilty. Like, I felt a huge weight on my shoulders, like, but I couldn't deny what I felt. And they say in the Bible, you know, the heart is the most deceiving part. And I've always been taught, you know, and they say the same about your tongue, you know, watch what you say. But for me, I've always been taught to do it with love. And I look at my parents and I see somebody that they didn't choose money or anything like that. They've always choose to love and to give. My mom doesn't come from a lot, and she gave away her Mac computer. You know, like, that's how I grew up. And life is so short, you never know what's promised. And if you can just keep going, and if I die tomorrow or if I get taken tomorrow, then I know I will die leaving a mark and loving the person I love for how I wanted to be loved and cherished in that fairy tale that I've always dreamed of since I was a kid. I think now at the end, I'm hoping I'm showing these kids what it's like to be a pro and to be, I've made some bad mistakes in this level. I have done some pretty crappy things. I'll be the first to admit that. And I've asked for forgiveness for the things that I've done. And as you look back, you don't realize that what you've done until it's almost too late. But I hope that people at the end of the day know that I was trying to think through and I was doing the right thing and trying to make people better. And that's what I think now is that I have a lot of experience. I've gone through a lot of stuff. So if a kid comes and sees it, and I understand a rookie not being able to play or an amateur trying to fight for a spot, because I've been there. So I'm hoping that they just see you show up every day, you do your job, and it's because you love it. When Randy gives me the okay again to take the PK, which might never actually happen. Yeah, me neither. It's gonna happen. Keeper's there. Come. I have to still get a yellow card.
Throw those hands up in the air.
Yes!
You know how many views this is gonna get just because you're shirtless?
Oh god. Aaron's gonna kill me.
Alright.
Those goal celebrations are a lot of work. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Give me a hands up, Kay.
Actually, this is what happens when we score a goal, really. She gets ready because she knows I'm coming 5 minutes later.